Hey there. So, if you've ever written some code and had a variable just kind of vanish, or maybe it changed value when you totally weren't expecting it to, well, this is for you. Today, we are breaking down Python's variable scope. This is a really core concept, and getting it right will make your code so much cleaner and way easier to debug. So, let's just dive right in. So, think about it. When you create a variable in your code, where does it live? Like, can you get to it from anywhere in your program, or is it kind of locked away in one specific little part? This whole idea of where a variable lives and who can see it, that's what we call its scope. All right, to make this super clear, we're going to use an analogy for this whole explainer. I want you to imagine that your entire program is a school, and all the variables you create, those are just the different conversations happening inside that school. Now, stick with me here. This is all going to click into place in just a second. First up, let's talk about those big school-wide announcements. You know, the ones that everybody can hear no matter where they are. In our code, these are the global variables. So here's the official kind of textbook definition. A global variable is any variable you create at the very top level of your script. It's not tucked inside any functions or anything. It's just declared right out in the open for the entire program to see. And in our school analogy, this makes perfect sense, right? A global variable is just like an announcement coming over the PA system. It doesn't matter if you're in the science lab, the library, or the gym, you hear that message. It's accessible from absolutely everywhere in your code. Okay, quick pop quiz. Thinking about that PA system idea, which of these feels right? Should global variables be used? A, never. B, as little as possible. C, Python just won't run them. Or D, you should use them all the time. What do you think? If you picked B, use them as little as possible, you are spot on. Seriously, just imagine if the PA system was blaring out announcements nonstop all day. It would be total chaos. It's exactly the same with global variables. They're definitely powerful, but using too many just makes your code a confusing mess. The big takeaway here is use them sparingly. Okay, so we've covered the big public PA system. Now let's zoom in and go into a much more private space. If globals are those public announcements, what about all the private little conversations happening inside each classroom? Well, those are our local variables. So here's the key thing to know. A local variable is born inside of a function, and it dies inside that same function. The moment the function is done running, that variable is gone. It just cannot be seen or used by any code outside of its home function. Let's go back to our school. A local variable is like a private chat you're having with a friend during chemistry class. The students over in the history class next door, they have no idea what you're talking about. Your conversation is local to your classroom, just like a local variable is local to its function. And this is a good thing. It keeps everything nice and organized and stops different parts of your code from messing with each other. Now, these classroom chats actually come in two main flavors. First, you've got your function parameters. Think of these as the specific instructions or materials the teacher gives you as you walk into the classroom for a project. Second, you have what we call helper variables. These are like temporary notes you scribble on whiteboard to help you figure out a problem inside the classroom. Both are super important, and both only exist within that one room. Okay, one more quick question for you. What about those function parameters, the info that gets passed into the classroom? Are they A, something you should try to avoid, B, globals, or C, locals? And yep, you got it. The answer is C. Function parameters are definitely local variables. They're a huge part of that private classroom chat. Okay, so now that we've got the theory down, let's see how this all actually plays out in some real Python code. All right, check out this onMousePress function on the screen. The whole point of this function is to draw a colored circle wherever you click your mouse. Just take a second and look at the code. See if you can spot the different kinds of variables we've been talking about. First things first, let's hunt for that global variable. Which one of these is the PA announcement? The one that has to exist outside of this specific function, outside of this one classroom. Is it mousex and mousey, color, or counter? It's counter. And you know it's the global because look, we're using it inside the function, but it had to have been created somewhere else, outside of it. That's because we need it to remember the total number of clicks every single time we run this function. It's our school-wide piece of info. All right, let's flip it. Now, which variables are the local classroom chats? You know, the ones that only exist inside this function to help it get its job done and then just, they're gone. And you got it, the locals here are mousex, mousey, and color.
So mouse X and mouse Y are the parameters, the info passed into the classroom. And color is a helper variable that's created right inside. As soon as this function is done drawing that circle, all three of them just vanish.
Awesome. So now that we've seen this stuff in action, let's wrap this up and summarize everything into a few, let's call them golden rules. Seriously, remembering these is going to save you so many headaches when you're coding. You know, it really just boils down to this simple idea. You want lots of classroom chats. Those are your local variables that keep all the work organized inside each function. And you want very, very few PA announcements. Those are your global variables, which you should only use for absolutely essential information that everything needs to access. So let's really lock these rules in. Rule number 1, use globals sparingly. I mean it. Rule 2, use locals, especially helper variables, all the time. They make your code so much clearer. Rule 3, this is a great rule of thumb for now, only use globals for things like shapes that need to be changed by different events. And finally, and this one is huge, never, ever give a local variable the same name as a global one. That is just asking for confusing, hard to find bugs. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that you really get the difference, just imagine for a second, what kind of chaos could you cause in your next project by accidentally broadcasting a private little classroom note over the entire school's PA system? Thinking about that is going to help you remember why getting your scope right is so important. Thanks for joining this explainer.